And also, Mr. Speaker, we know that the act that we had was nullified by the court. The reasons we don't want to go into now, which means, Mr. Speaker, now we have a vacuum. And we have a vacuum in the face of very serious problems in the fishing industry. Mr. Speaker, if you take the case of Lake Victoria, where we come from, the stock of fish is dwindling. There is overfishing in the area. And you cannot blame the fishermen because even the regulation is not proper. People use wrong gear. And as some members just said, these wrong gear, that some of it are banned, are actually available in the shops everywhere. So the fishermen ask the correct question. If these are banned gear, why are they in the market? Mr. Speaker, there is also destruction of breeding sites. You know that the Gulf is actually the main breeding site for the whole of the big lake of Victoria. And there is farming, people are cutting vegetation that is associated with the lake, and therefore the breeding sites are actually being depleted by fishing, overfishing, and at the same time by destruction. And Mr. Speaker, this leads to conflict amongst the fishermen because there is little fish in the lake, and there are a lot of people that are going into fishing. It's a major industry. It's a major life-sustaining industry. And this conflict, people fight. People die on the lake because of this. There's conflict with the law. And even the law itself has actually been not proper because we had cases where our double licensing from the county government and from the national government, and the fishermen themselves were not quite sure who should actually regulate the fishing industry. The beach management units, although were recognized by law, actually had very little support. And because of that, they are not doing what they should supposed to do. And there were poor marketing outlets, as you heard by the mover, where there were no cooling equipment. The fish was actually being sold at a throwaway prices. So, Mr. Speaker, we had a lot of this, and there were no organized marketing strategies for the fishermen. The fish landing areas themselves are not very well developed, and in international trade, if the fish landing sites are not properly maintained, then you cannot access the market in some areas. So this is really a major issue for us. So, Mr. Speaker, when I look at this bill, it has actually proposed very many structures, and I like structures because they make things work easier. They have proposed the Kenya Fisheries Services. They have proposed Kenya Fisheries Advisory Board. They have proposed Kenya Fish Marketing Authority. They have proposed Fisheries Research and Development Fund, and they have proposed Fish Levy Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, if we are to implement this properly, actually we can stabilize, develop, and expand the fishing industry. Like the Kenya Fish Kenya Fisheries Services will definitely be important is monitoring the fishing industry, regulating the fishing industries, and therefore even support the fishermen when we are changing from just chasing wild fish and actually going into aquaculture, which can either be cages or we can even have ponds for aquaculture. So that fisheries services is a major body, is a major unit if we do set it up. Then we'll have the fisheries advisory body, and Mr. Speaker, you cannot change a whole industry if you do not have a constant policy monitoring mechanism, which I believe the Kenya Fisheries Advisory Board will have to do, and that's what is in the Act. And then, Mrs. Fisher, a marketing authority. Sometimes when the fishermen get fish, and as we have said, and there's no proper outlets, the fish go bad, or they sell to middlemen. Mr. Speaker, you yourself, you come from the lake, and you know that the people who go to the lake actually keep walking on foot, and they don't look. And the middlemen who come to get the fish from the lake, they come in cars. They don't go to the lake, but they drive courtesy of the products that they come as middlemen. So if you have a proper marketing authority that will support the fish, will go a long way. And if you are going to move, Mr. Speaker, into aquaculture, particularly cage farming in the lake, this must go together with serious research, because you are going to change the environment of the lake. And what will the numerous cages in the lake do? The lake is not just for fishes. The lake is also a transport mechanism. The lake is, it's also, to some small extent, within the international laws, is used a lot for small-time irrigation. And so we know that when we've started fishing in the last few years, we had this problem of welling, where the fish actually just die en masse. We need constant research to know what we need to do and how we deal with the massive aquaculture in the lake. We also know that around the lake there is agriculture, and we want to know what kind of fertilizers you are going to use if you are going to do major aquaculture. Look at what is happening in Lake Naivasha. When you pass along there, you find a lot of fish that these young men have. And they have been declared unfit for human consumption because of the agriculture that is around the lake. So, Mr. Speaker, if we look at all these provisions that are in the bill, if we implement them, if we look at the problem we have now, I think we need this bill to be in an act to replace what the court nullified. And with that, Mr. Speaker,
Nyikal,
I support.
Honorable Nyikal, before you are done, that cage, what did you call it?
Cage farming.
The cage farming within the lake. Under what arrangement is it done now that the space where you do cage farming could be in conflict with where other people also want to do transport lines, or where fellow fishermen also want to do cage fishing? Is it that they lease or they pay some taxes to government or the county government?
Mr. Speaker, that up to now has not been very clear who should license them, the national government or the county government. And as you have said, if we go in a massive way, then you will start actually interfering with the transport services in the lake. The small people who use the canoes, where do they put the legs? And another thing that at least we know of now, Mr. Speaker, is that where you have cage farming, that becomes a secondary breeding area, because under the nets, they are safe. And then other fishermen now, who are not owners of cages, now want to fish around those areas. And there's a conflict even now. I mean, you have seen they have to hire watchmen who are on these floating huts to guard this. And again, if it is massive, it will also have an impact on the flow of currents in the lake. It will have an impact on what vegetation grows under the lake. So the Fisheries Research Unit must actually now also get into gear and say we are changing the environment. Do we always monitor how this is changing and what other impacts it will have? So this bill is extremely important.